Hello, welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. Today, I want to talk about something that really hit home for me recently. I had a challenge in my parentinghood life, and it was one of those times where emotions were high, patience was thin, and I found myself questioning how could I handle this better? And just when I needed it, I came across a podcast from Jay Shetty, and he was talking to one of the top parenting experts. And let me tell you, it felt like divine timing. And so, when I want to have these type of conversations, who I welcome to the table is Miss Claudia.
Hi, Don.
Hi,
So good to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
girl. I'm. This is gonna be maybe not heavy, but impactful, and I'm excited because it hit home. And so I did ask you to listen to it if you wanted to. You didn't have to, but just because it was powerful. I can't wait to get into it. So
Yes, let's do
uh,
it.
yeah, so I wanted to like reflect on what I heard. Did it?
Sure.
So some of it, the episode. The expert broke it down, right?
Yes.
Incredible truths about how we show up in our families, right? So, one big takeaway for me is that parenting isn't just guiding our children, it's also managing ourselves,
Yes.
our reactions, our triggers, and our expectations.
Yes. And I think, Don, this is sorry, I know I'm chanting because it's such a good topic that a lot of times we don't hone in on it and we think, well, it's just a particular behavior no, it's more than that, Don. It's exactly what you said is we need to tap into ourselves
Yes.
and recognize what is it about this that I am deflecting and
Hmm.
I'm not quite grasping that interferes with my parenting skills, right?
No, yes. And the thing is, like, I think when you're in a situation with your kid, you're thinking right away, they're just being difficult. You're being very inconvenient right now. But clearly the kid is having a horrible time, right? So, like, she just breaks it down, and the example she uses just hit home. And so, as I was thinking about this, because this was Sunday, I was like, wow, like kids truly are our mirror. A lot of times they're reflecting us, and so I did just post about that. But it was just so powerful because I have to say, some of it was validating, which made me feel so good. Some of it was eye opening. I learned like it was just you people. I will put it in the information. You need to listen. Like I don't know. I'm just excited because I believe sharing is caring, and so I really hope you'll get something out of it. I know I did, and again, I'm always going to say this, like, one day my kids are going to listen to this and they're always going to have this, and so they're getting insight into me. So I am, I told you this is my form of therapy, and I like to talk about things. And so this, I truly do this for me and my kids. So you're going to be stuck listening to it, but it's going to be a good episode.
Absolutely. And Don, I was thinking how that she broke it down. This clinical psychologist broke it down and saying how you mentioned this just a few minutes ago. If as a parent we can't tolerate our own emotions, how do we expect our children to manage their own emotions, right? When we're not setting we're the model, we're the example, if you will.
Hmm.
They're a reflection of what we teach,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, and she mentioned this, like a child or any child, we're all born with these particular feelings, right? But no one necessarily has the skills to manage those feelings unless you're taught, right?
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so true. Because how do I handle this when I, as an example, hypothetically speaking, if I wasn't taught how to tolerate my own emotions,
Mhm.
how do I expect to teach that to my child?
Yes, yes. I love that analogy, how she's like, a brain surgeon wouldn't go in and do
Mhm.
surgery without medical school, but
Yes,
we're having babies with no skills on how to manage feelings. So I
exactly.
was just like, I feel like we know this, right? Like, don't like I feel to some degree we know this, but you just don't reflect on it. You don't think about, like what's in front of you again, because you have not learned how to break that down and deal with it. And so I mean, it was rough this weekend. And I mean, it took me back. I mean, it was a challenge. And I rarely, when she was younger, I think my daughter challenged me a lot more than she does now in regards to where I wasn't equipped, right? So then you learn, and then now she's in a different chapter. And I think someone recently told me, I don't know where I heard it, and I loved it. They say, kids give you a hard time because they got to prepare to leave you, and believe it or not, that gives them angst. That gives them like, oh my god, like I need to detach. So then they want to fight with you. They want to because they want to create that like, okay, I need to leave you. I need to figure this out, right? So it was very interesting. But anyways, but I I, it, I just loved it, and the fact that and it was funny when she's like, a lot of parents when she sits down with them, she says, "What is your job as a parent?" And more or
Yeah.
less, and I felt like I had the answer, by the way, and I did. And so it wasn't the way she said most people answered, and so I've never felt it's my job to make my child happy. That's not. I'm not your friend. For me, it's my job to provide safety, a safe environment, structure and guidance. Like that, like to me, that is my job as your parent. You know what I mean? Like I'm preparing you for the world. And they had mentioned, I don't know if you
Yes.
caught that.
Yes, I
Like,
did.
right? What did they say about that? Because I thought, oh my God, that's me. I always say that. Like, I think people forget they're raising little humans to be in this world.
Right. And you know what? That's exactly what she said. Our job is not to make our children happy, right? Because we need to teach our kids um and shape them in a way where they're not codependent on us
Mhm.
making them happy.
Yep. Yep.
They have to find happiness within themselves. So it's exactly that. Is you're empathizing, let's say, with the circumstances maybe that
Hmm.
they're experiencing, but you're also setting boundaries,
Yes.
right? Because setting boundaries is a form of protection. It's a form of having your child feel safe, right? Which is kind of what you're saying now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what was interesting? Because I talk about boundaries a lot, and I'm gonna have to post about that because I feel like I'm sure I explained it, but I loved her story about she's getting on the elevator,
Hmm.
and she's like people confuse boundaries and what that means and how to use it, and so she's like, the mom's like, okay, we're gonna get on, and don't press those buttons, you know what I mean? So she's like, even as an adult, you tell me not to do something, I want to do it, right? So going, if you think that's setting a boundary, that's not setting a boundary. It says, okay, I'm going to tell you not to touch these buttons, and if you do, this is what I'm going to do. And it was hilarious. She's like, I'm gonna, push you back. I'm not gonna let you push these buttons. You know what I mean? So I love that. I just the example she used, she's just made them so relatable, so real. And I do think that's true. People don't understand boundaries. It's not just telling someone what they can't do. It's like, I'm gonna tell you, like I always say, I have this bubble and
Yes.
I'm not going to let you pop it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if I don't agree with that, like I will take my space. I will tell you how I'm going to react. Like, so I thought, oh my God, I'm so glad I understand boundaries and I do set them in place. It's not just, you're not going to do that because that doesn't resonate with me. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to allow that. And this is what you can expect from me.
Right.
Did you catch that when she talked
I
about that?
did, I did, and you know what I really appreciate her another example she used is, okay, she used the example of I can't you can't use a tablet, right? Let's say the iPad. Let's just say you have an you
Yes.
can't use this iPad. And then she has parents who consistently say, "Oh, but they took the iPad and they're using it during their non-iPad time."
Mm-hmm.
And she consistently will ask, "But how does your child have even access to the
Mm-hmm.
iPad when
Mm-hmm.
they're not supposed to?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's the portion of like what you're saying boundaries is
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't allow the space for the iPad, the remote
Mhm.
control, the console for a PlayStation, whatever it is
Mhm.
that they're trying to get their hands on, because kids will test limits,
Yes.
right?
Right? Yes. I love that. And then, she talked about like, so you A parent's job is setting boundaries and validating feelings. And I love that because I swear I'm not perfect by any means, you guys, but I swear because of that middle child syndrome, I've always been about boundaries. And I will tell my kids, my boundaries are what, but I always let them have a voice, feel heard, and I do validate their feelings. And I love how she says parents these days parent on how their children feel, and that's like one of the number one mistakes that they should not do. And I mean that right there, I was like, that was validating because it's not that I don't care how you feel. Your
Right.
feelings are not going to dictate what I put in place, So
Yes.
that was so validating for me because I'm like, you can feel what you feel, but I'm still telling you no. It's still
Exactly.
going to be this way, and I understand you feel that way. Like, so it's funny when she was talking because I always thought like, God, I hope I'm not patronizing. But when you're talking to a kid,
Sure.
you have to be. Oh, I know you're going to be bored. I know you're not, but in life we sometimes it's boring, and it's so. I swear I've said those things, and I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, but I'm not here to entertain you. I tell my, don't expect you're bored. Boring people get bored. So if you're bored, you better go figure that out because I'm not here for your entertainment. So they'd be like, Mom, I'm like, I'm not your friend. It's not my job. Figure it out. Like,
Right.
and I've always said, I can color with you. I can sing and
Sure.
dance. Anything else, go somewhere else.
But you know what? It's you're teaching them tolerance. You're teaching them ways to figure things out on their own. Because
Hmm.
what is life about? Life is about problem solving. Life is about figuring it out. No one comes knocking on your door and gives you the handbook to tell you this is how you're going to be when you're adulting. This is
Right.
not how it works. So
Right.
I like that example that you just shared. It's almost like she mentioned something around, oh, I know what it was. Is they're at a birthday party and the your child is adamant that they want to sit next to the birthday girl.
Oh my God. We've all been through that, Claudia.
And you're sitting there thinking, and now my child wants to use the restroom, and then you're thinking, wait, but if they leave, they're going to lose their spot, and
Hmm.
then if they lose their spot, you're
Hmm.
gonna then what am I gonna do? Because we're gonna come back and we're gonna have to deal with a tantrum. And then it becomes so imagine on an outing of a celebration, a birthday celebration, or whatever social outing you're doing, imagine in your mind that parent is consistently thinking ahead, like,
Yes.
how do I avoid having my child go through a tantrum in front of all these individuals in a social setting? How do I manage that? So she talked about the anxiety that it
Hmm.
creates on parents
Yep.
who consistently have to be a step ahead. So to prevent the child from having this outburst, which is a whole nother thing. But I just loved how she put that into perspective.
Right. And
Yes.
so she essentially removed the child.
Hmm.
I love. Did you remember the reaction? And she was like,
Yes.
"Oh my God, that was a win."
Yes.
So
Yes.
I love that. I know. I recently went to a friend's housewarming. Oh my God! Like, okay, my kids are 14 and 17, and I'm not around little kids much. Okay, I swear that at one point there was more kids than adults, and it was so loud. I was like, "Wow, I don't miss this." Like, good Lord, it was loud, and it was so funny. Not funny, but I'm watching these moms and I'm like, God, I don't miss that. Like, I remember that. And they're hovering over their kids. And I'm like, like, like you're trying to control something that you can't control in my head at the time. Like, so I'm like, you're just giving them more ammo. You're just giving them more, like, I don't know. But I ain't gonna say nothing. Like, I was just like,
Of
oh,
course.
lady, just let the kid figure it out. But anyway, so it was interesting to see all the moms and how they're reacting to their, kids. My friend, when I got there, she wanted her son to come down and say hi. And I told her it wasn't a big deal, but she wanted him to. And I told her later, I was like, I was like, wow, good job. Because, she didn't back down. She's like, no, you need to come. I've asked you to come. You need to come and say hi. And then in the moment, like he was going to, but then he got scared because he was on some steps, like, what is it, the bunk beds? And so one of the kids was in his way. And so she was like, you're okay. I know you're scared. You're okay. You can still make it down. Like, she literally just like had the patience of a saint with
Yes.
all that noise, but her focus was on her son. And she's like, no, you're going to be fine. And you're going to come down those stairs and you're going to come over here. And she stuck to her guns. And when he came over, hi, like, but it was like, man, good job. Because most moms would are embarrassed. They don't have the patience. And she talked about how parenting is inconvenient and it's not
Yes.
talked about enough. And I'm like, boy, do we
Yes.
all agree that it is inconvenient.
Right. But we don't say it out loud. Like, who wants to say it could be an inconvenience for me? I am relaxing, reading my book, but you want me to do this for you. Like, okay, yes, it is an inconvenience at times, where it feels you're overextending yourself for certain things. I'm like, oh, come on. But anyway, with that, just keeping that in mind, I think she mentioned how as parents we look for a quick outlet to
Yes.
not deal with our
Yes.
child's reaction,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yep.
we're a society who everything is accessible at our fingertips, right? So if we give into this tantrum, it'll be so much easier because guess
Hmm.
what? It's convenient for me as a parent not having
Hmm.
to deal with your tantrum that you're
Hmm.
having.
Yep.
And that is probably likely because you, as a parent, again, cannot deal with the challenge of emotions.
Yes, right, because you don't know how, so then how are you gonna teach your kid? Yes, yes. Let me tell you, this was funny, it's a little just thinking back, I remember, and I'm curious what you think, and I may have told you this a long time ago, but, I was taking Evie to a family party, and I would say Evie was maybe 3. I don't think I had Evan, so she was under 3, okay? And so, she was the only child, obviously, right? So I went prepared. I took her toy, I took snacks. Like, I was like, I will not be inconvenienced by my child, right? Because when, when I go to these events, I swear my husband forgets he has a daughter and kid and he's socializing and I'm all like following her around, make sure she's okay or whatever, right? So, um, I remember having the snacks and the toys. And so I told her, yeah, she was 2.5, actually. She was 2.5. His cousin was there and they showed up with no toys. And this, by the way, this house is not a house that has kids' toys. So, and I knew that. I was like, okay, I'm going to go and make sure because I want to have a good time, right? So I want her to have a good time, whatever, right? So I come prepared, okay? So the cousin was like, "Oh, like I want that toy." And Evie's like, "No." Like she did not want to share you guys. And so then the kid starts, crying, going to the mom, she won't share. And everyone's looking at me, expecting me to make my daughter share. And I'm looking at them like, "Oh, you don't know me." No, I'm not, right? Like, no, I will not. And so I go up to Evie, what's going on? And she's like, "This is my toy. I brought it here and I don't want to share, mom." I said, okay. I said, you don't have to share, Evie. I said, but you do know if you don't share, no one's going to want to play with you or share their toys, right? And she's like, I'm okay with that. I swear, this is how the conversation went. She's like, okay, like, I'm okay. And I said, but you don't want to be nice? Like, you don't want to share and show them? And she's like, nope. When I'm done, she can. But right, she would, I'm telling you guys, she was like, no. And so I said, okay. And I told the little kid, sorry, when she's done, she'll let you play with it, right? So I don't know who was watching. I don't know who said what. My daughter went on, mind her business, play with her toy, okay? His mom was like, do you want to come with me to the store? And I knew, I'm like, oh God, here we go. I know she wants to say something to me. So me and a little niece that we go to the Vallarta something. I don't know. Anyways, we go. She just had to find her little spot and was like, oh my God, like I forget how she casually brings it up, right? And I'm prepared because I know this woman. So I'm like, woman, bring it. Let me see. You know what I mean? So she's like, oh, she used the little girl, like the little niece, his little niece. I don't know, she could have been 15, 10. I don't know. She was young. So then she's like, you don't think you should have taught your daughter that, you don't think, you need to teach her to share? I said, oh, I do. I said, but she's a year and a half, she's 2.5, whatever she was. And I said, I don't expect my 2-year-old, whatever she was, 2-year-old to know and learn everything at once. I said, you learn things, you teach kids in phases, and then, you meet your kid where you are. That's what I believe. And I said, I came prepared, and I'll be damned if I have my child crying and inconveniencing me because another parent did not want to come prepared. not my problem. I said, so I said, my daughter will learn to share when it's time for her to learn. And I said, and at the end of the day, I swear I said this. I said, I am teaching her that she can make choices, but her choices have consequences, have reactions. And,
Yes.
again, I said, I'm meeting her where she is. And I told her, well, if you share, you'll have more people. Like, I gave her the scenario, like, if you share, this can happen. But if
Sure.
you don't, this is going to happen. And I said, so what do you want to do? She says she can use it when I'm done. Okay, then that's what it is. So I let my daughter make her choice. And at the end of the day, if the kids don't want to play, I said, and I told her, okay, but don't come crying to me if
Mhm.
someone wants to play with you and you don't want to play. They don't want to play with you. Do you understand? And she said, yeah. And girl, she did not come to me crying. So she did not. So I told them, I said, you don't have to agree. And I hated, they would always say, oh, in our culture, oh my God, get rid of that crap. Like, I don't care what your culture is. I am a human raising a human. And I said, I'm sorry, but I don't have to force my child. No, I'm not having it. Like, and so they had to back down because they're like, well, damn, she has a point. You know what I mean? It's like,
Very
I'm
true.
not just gonna raise my kid because you guys think I need to. No, you have to share. It is your job. No, she does not. Okay. And she'll
Right.
share when she wants to. Like, so it was just so funny, right or wrong. That
Right.
is what I did with her.
Yeah.
And that is what I have always done. And so I will tell you, like, this weekend, trust me, I created that little monster that I just told you I had an episode with. I know I created that. Like, I helped create my struggle that I had. But at the end of the day, they have to learn there's a
Right.
time and place for everything. And
Right.
so
It,
this right now is what I'm struggling with my daughter. Like, she feels she's right and valid. And so this is, I'm like, no, girl, but whether you're right in your reason, you feel you're right in what you're doing or what the stance that you're taking, right? You feel right in, but that does not give you the right to do what you did.
exactly. Exactly. Well, I think what I heard you say in that example is you're teaching, and which we should, is teaching your child natural consequences,
Yes.
right? Because that is our
Life.
responsibility as parents. Right? What do
Yes.
we know as adults? We know there is natural consequences for
Mm-hmm.
choices that we make,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you are essentially preparing your daughter to leading up to that, because life will throw things at you unexpectedly, and you may make the best choice or you may not make the best choice.
Yep.
But
True.
what if you don't allow your child to trial and error, right? Which is equivalent to parenting. You trial and error. Of course, granted, you're not compromising a child's safety, but otherwise, you're trialing and error. That is what parenting is. And
Right.
we don't know, is this the best decision? No. But does that make you a crappy parent? No, not
No. Yeah.
necessarily. Right? It just means, okay, and I made a mistake. It wasn't the best choice, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the portion of parenting where we have to go back, right, Donna,
Yes.
and explain to your child, I didn't make the best decision by allowing you to do X, Y, and Z, but I recognize that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do things differently. So then now you're modeling, you're teaching your child that it's okay to make mistakes, that
Mm-hmm.
you, their role model, made a mistake, and that
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to do so. Because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Again, building tolerance is
Mm-hmm.
those skill building moments that you have and opportunities to help your child survive
Mm-hmm.
in this world, because that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt in that moment, I taught her boundaries and I validated her feelings.
Mhm.
So, like I said, some of that was so validating. Like, oh my gosh, Claudia. But do you know the other thing, guilt, the mom guilt? Did you catch that? How
Yes, I
she
did.
broke it down, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like that is so true that and I'm not gonna be able to recap that because I didn't take notes because like I was walking, but I really wanted to go back. But I love how she said, you would think that that's mom guilt, but that's not
Right. Right.
that
And
scenario of
she
her wanting to go out to eat and the son or the child crying at her feet like but I want you to put me to bed, you never put me to bed, but the truth is for the last 37 days I have put you to bed, but you're saying I haven't, right? So like so then some parents, I love how she like in any scenario she gave, she would tell you most of my clients are people, this is what they've done, which is what, okay, fine, I won't go, right? And then you get like resentful and you're like sitting there like I could be with my, whatever, right? She tells you how your whole day goes. Or you can tell your child like, yes, like I'm gonna go, and I know you want me to put you to bed, and I have all the nights before, and I will tomorrow night. Like, I just love how she broke that down, went, had her time. Oh my, I love that she gave the difference between mom guilt
It's
and
emotional confusion.
yes,
Mhm.
there you go.
Emotional confusion,
That's what
yes.
she said. Thank you.
Because a lot of times we talk about, okay, well, I feel guilty for going out with my girlfriends and not putting my son to bed because I do bedtime usually.
Hmm.
But she said, then I'll feel guilty. But she identified that. Is that really guilt though? Is it really guilt? Is it out of, what does she talk about? Okay, is it um stepping out of my ethical, not ethical, but my norm?
Values, no, like
Yeah, your
right.
values.
Hmm.
Thank you. Is
Hmm.
it me going out with my girlfriends,
Hmm.
overstepping my ethical values as a
Hmm.
parent or my
Hmm.
no, it is you wanting to be a mom who has
Hmm.
the right to socialize with your
Hmm.
girlfriends and have a great time, right? That doesn't make you a bad person or a bad parent, or it's more about, okay, you're emotionally confused there because you know that if you give in, per lack of a better word, if you give in to your child and say, fine, I'm not going to go out with my girlfriends, I will just put them to bed because that's what I do, and then guess what, you hold on to that resentment as a parent. Now you're resentful, and guess what, you're going to lash out at your son
Yes.
because you hold resentment when you made the conscientious choice not to pursue and go out with your girlfriends.
Yep. Yeah.
How does that make
You
sense?
know, I that was enlightening, right? Like that was like that's where I'm like, "Ooh," like you said, that emotional, what does she call it?
Emotional confusion.
Yes, confusion. Oh my God, yeah. I love how, because this happens all the time. Chicken again? I always get that again. Oh, and so depending on my mood, yeah, I'm a little sarcastic, you guys. I will be snarky. And but it was funny how she broke that down. But what I really loved, and this is what I'll tell you I'll do. And I'm not like I'm telling you, I am not trying to sit here and tell you I'm so good and perfect or whatever, right? But I love what was validating for me is that something will happen. We get into like I react the wrong or something said or whatever, but I always go back later and say like, how was that? Like, or how do you feel about that? Or like I always go back and check in. Do you know what I mean? And so I love that she said, we can have those moments and we can snap and say, those things, but and the child is going to be affected, all those things, right? But when you go back and say I'm sorry, or I had a bad day, like that's not how I feel, like you're still a good kid, I love you, I just had a lot, that whatever, like whatever you say or do, right? And she says, so now that memory or that experience is not as bad because you validated their feelings, and address it. I forgot more or less what she said, and I thought, oh my God, thank God, because that's what I do.
And that's great. Yes, that was a big portion of
Mhm,
the dialogue that was happening,
mhm,
is that you do the reparative work, right? And like, because we know that parenting, the foundation of parenting is your relationship with your child, and that relationship with your child will have an impact with their adult relationships.
mhm.
So whatever we ingrain in them is going to impact their adult
Yeah,
relationships,
I know.
who they're attracted
I
to,
know.
who they make friendships with, et cetera, et cetera. But that reparative work is essential, Don,
I
right?
know.
Because without you going, let's say an argument happens, a disagreement, you don't see eye to eye. Okay, give it a minute. Everybody takes their break, right? You give yourself your time out, right? To decompress, reflect, etc., process, and then you say, okay, at some point in time, I need to go back and have this difficult conversation, whatever
Yes.
that may look
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and say, hey, I whatever it may be, I maybe said few things that weren't necessarily
Mhm, mhm.
appropriate. However, I want you to know that I acknowledge that, and I'm here to whatever support you, try to keep you safe. These were my reasons behind that, but without accusing, without necessarily pointing the finger or saying,
Yes.
yes,
Hard. Yes.
right, right, because if the way you acted, then I responded that way. No, no, that's not repairing. That's more accusing, right? And we want to stay away from that, and more so like just acknowledge, hey, you know what? I really messed up. I really again, what are you doing? You're modeling. You're modeling.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right? So, I can tell you, that whole space thing, I love it, right? But I will say, like, if I do something, yes, I always follow up, right? But I will say that one thing that I'm, like, really bad at and I need to do better with is I need to remember just to listen, right? Or just to let
Mhm.
it be, let it sit. Like,
Sure.
I don't sit with things a lot. My nature, my reaction, like I just always wanted, okay, let's nip it in the butt. Let's just deal with it, right? That's just me. And so I always have to remember that they're not like me.
Yes.
And so I felt like, oh, when she said, we need to give, things time. So like when she's coming to me, and she's good with telling me, "Mom, I just need your ears. Can you just listen?" Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I can just listen, but it's hard. And so when she comes to me, I feel so bad. Not feel bad, but sometimes I see how I'm always like, okay, but if you just see it this way, I always want to fix it. And like she'll get mad at me and she's like, can you just listen and stop, or like stop taking his side or stop doing this or that? And I'm like,
Yes.
girl, I promise you, it's not that. I just don't want it sitting with you. So I'm trying to help you navigate. But I have to say, I have to remember, like, I need to sometimes just sit. And that's what I did Saturday. I was like, okay, oh my God, I'm gonna take a step back because this was heavy, this was big, and it's going to be impactful either way. So let me just take a step back. So I took a step back and was like, what the?
Yes.
It was a lot.
It
In all
is.
honesty, I felt like it was more for me than the two of them because, I'm watching. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, when you're in it, you don't realize so much yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly.
So,
No, yeah, and I think that's a great thing on your end to kind of acknowledge that, right? Is if your child is sharing something with you, they literally probably just need a lending ear.
yes.
And but innately we want to just fix, and we
Yeah.
want to get rid of the pain that those
Yes.
feeling and help problem
Yes.
solve and step in and just be like, okay, well, let's figure this out. I think she gave the example of you're the only child, your child comes to you from a day of school and says, I'm the only one who can't read. And she's like, wait, okay, what do you mean? And instinctively, you start pointing out all the qualities that they have. Well, but you're good at, playing
Mhm.
soccer. You're good at
Done
this. You're
that.
good at
Done that. Yep.
sometimes you kind of put the other friend down. Like if let's say your child was called
Done
a
that.
I mean, you want to defend. Well, so and so,
Yes.
I've seen them do this, and innately we want to step in and just
Yes.
love and extinguish that feeling that they're feeling.
Yes, I'm so guilty of that.
I think that's what innately we want to do because we don't like to see our children in
Sad,
or
suffer, all that.
sad or
Yes, yeah.
suffer any of it. So innately we want to jump in. But she said, allow the space to have your child sit in that what is it, that bench by themselves where they
Yes.
like, okay, I didn't do my best today during practice. I didn't make a home run like I told
Mhm,
myself I
mhm,
could. And no, allow yourself or your child to be in that space.
mhm,
And the same thing with a parent is
mhm,
allow your child to feel vulnerable. Allow you as a parent to feel vulnerable,
mhm.
not give them every single possibility
Exit. Exit.
exact or fix
Yes.
it for them, right?
Yes. Yeah. I
Why? Because you're not. you're not teaching them to sit with
Mm.
their level of
Yep.
whatever it is that they're feeling, you know?
I'm telling you, girl, that was so enlightening. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so freaking guilty of that."
I think we all are done.
I swear. I swear. So that's what I'm saying, like, it was people need to go listen to this if you're and it doesn't matter what stage. I felt it does not she gave a lot of, don't get me wrong, she gave a lot of, like, younger kids, because I'm sure her kids are younger, and so she gave a lot of those scenarios, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's just it's how we react, do you know what I mean, to situations with our kids. And I mean, they're literally learning from us, you know? I can tell you that, like, and I always tell my daughter, like, it took me 35 years to appreciate that my mother showed me what not to do. 35 years it took me to have that appreciation, you know what I mean? So prior to that, I had resentment. Like, I didn't like certain things, and it's like I didn't feel like I had what I wanted from a mom. But then when I realized at 35, like, well, you know what? I'm everything she showed me what not to be, and I'm everything I didn't want to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, so then now I can have a different appreciation. Like, it's all about, and did you notice she did talk? And I love that. I'm all about mindset and your mind shift. And so I love that she brought that into the conversation. It's all about your minds. Not, she didn't say mindset, but the mind shift. Like, you have to shift your mind. I don't know if you caught that, but I love that because I was like, oh my, I say that all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, and you know what, I do appreciate that. It's, again, it's a reminder. Like, a lot of times, maybe instinctively we may know some of these things, but it's okay not to, right? It's okay that, again, no one gives you the handbook, right? Remember, we all have that moment when we leave the hospital. You have the support at the hospital, and then you leave and you're on your, and you're thinking, wait, okay, wait, so now I'm on, you mean I have to take
Mm-hmm.
care of this
All
little,
that by myself.
exactly, like, how
Mm-hmm.
am I supposed to do this when
Mm-hmm.
I don't know? Exactly. That is parenting, is allowing ourselves to sit feeling like we don't know it all, because we don't. We're not supposed to. We're not supposed to, right? And every child is different. If you have more than one child, we know personalities are different. If you two parents in the household, two parents potentially have a different view and perception of things, because each of you were, raised in different ways and whatnot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
again, it's so,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. It by all means, but again, it's a learning curve, it's a process, and I think it's important to give ourselves grace when we are going through
It
these.
is, and Imma tell you, it will be interesting, you guys, on how well we did because, by the way, like, my experience with my daughter is way different than my son's because, my daughter, at least, and most girls that I know of, are more emotionally in tuned and further along in maturity.
Mhm, mhm.
I think I can say that from my experience, but, so I definitely handle my son differently, and so, I don't feel. And what's funny what she said? And I was about to say it. Oh my God. I don't feel like he doesn't validate my impact. And I don't need him to, okay? But I thought that was funny too, how she brought in, like, when you have a really good moment, you do good as a parent. Like, your kid's gonna say, "Wow, mom, that was great parenting. Thank you." Da, da, da. Like, it's unrewarded. And I laughed at that because I was just about to tell you, like, with my daughter, like, I can see the impact a lot because emotionally she's there, like, she can understand, and I can see the breakthrough or see the impact. But with my son, I don't, and I'm like, oh my God. But you know what, I'm just going to keep repeating, I'm going to keep bringing it up. And I love that she was like, and it's funny because, I'm sorry, you do treat them different. I don't care what anybody says. It's hard not to, because they are different, and that's why I said, how can I treat you the same if you're two different people? Like, but with my son, I find myself, I tend to, like, try to do things for him, and I love that she's like, don't do things for them that they can do for themselves. And that's what I have to remember because, again, there I
Yes.
go, the fixer or the whatever. Here, let me just do it. And so I love that towel analogy because, oh my God, that's one thing that drives me nuts too. Where's your towel? Like, stop leaving the towel here, there. And it's so funny that she used that example with her son. And so, but she let him come to the answer, the conclusion. Oh, maybe if I put a sticky note there, I'll remember. Like, And so she says it works 50% of the time, but she'll take 50 because before it was never. And so I love that. Like I love that like little game or experience that she did. But I can say with my son, I don't always feel like I'm getting through, and I won't know. But it'll be interesting because my husband is he can be very old fashioned in the sense that of like, you just got to respect me because I'm older type of thing, right? For an example. But he's a little more free than, the way he was raised a little bit. But we definitely have different views. It's, I am softer. I like to tell you that I'm not, but apparently I am. My parenting style is apparently is softer. But the thing is, I will tell you, I might be softer and I don't hate my kids. They rarely get punished, but I don't have bad kids, but whatever, right? But the thing is, I say what I mean and I mean what I say and I'm consistent. That's where I feel I'm not soft. And I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, I am not, no one is, but I am nowhere near perfect. I'm not striving to be perfect because I would drive myself insane if I tried to be a perfect parent. I feel like, wait, no, I'm not. But when I see how my siblings, and we were all raised in the same house, when I see how they are with their kids, I'm like, God damn, I'm too easy on my kids. But let me tell you, I don't just throw threats out there, or I just don't say things to, I don't like the fear thing. I want the respect. So that's why I'm
Right.
saying I say what I mean and I mean what I say. What no is no, and like I'm consistent. So I feel like, yeah, you know what, go ahead and say I'm easy, or go ahead and say, you know, I'm a, I don't force my hand, but again, you know, they have to deal with that decision. Like they have to live with, okay, you're choosing not to clean your room. And this is it. Like, so just an example, like, you know, things happen when you don't clean your room, or things are a certain way. Your life is a certain way. And trust me, all of our lives will be easier if you just be more tidy, right? But it's like, hey, that's your decision and it's only good. I'm not going to let it impact me. So, yeah, I can go in there and be the drill sergeant and make that. But it's like, I don't have the time and energy for that. If that doesn't naturally come to them, just don't let it bother me. So, yes, in some ways, I'm a little like easier when it comes to those things, but I mean what I say what I mean, and I'm consistent. So that is me as a parent. But I'm curious because, like, my husband, like, he's emotionally, like, what is that where they avoid? What is that called? What is that term called? Like he's an avoidant. Like, he won't.
He won't confront it. He just
So think
avoids it.
about that, guys. He's that way, and I'm like in your face, like, let's deal with it. So my kids have two polar opposites. So
Just
I don't know, you guys. I don't know how is this going to work out for them.
right.
But it'll be interesting because the way we react and deal with things, oh, I swear to God, it's like polar opposites. It's in, God be with them because I don't know. Hmm. So if you guys are listening today and you've been battling with that mom guilt, or you feel like you need to keep your kid happy, I am here to tell you that is not your job. Your job is to love them, to guide them, to set boundaries, validate their feelings while letting them learn how to move through their feelings, like move through it. Do you know what I mean? This perspective, it both validates and it's freeing for them. Do you know? I hope I'm making sense. I just hope in the same breath, that this, I feel like I know what I'm trying to say, but I just feel it gives both. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's what I want to say. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. Perimenopause. So thank you for listening to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. And I'm curious. I would love to hear your thoughts. I really want to encourage you to go listen to it. I mean, Claudia and I have to say, we did a better recap than I anticipated. We rawly talk about this. Like, we don't prepare. I just happen to say, hey, oh my God, I really need to talk about this. It was insightful for me. You might want to listen to it, but you don't have to, right? So, but I'm so happy you did because it made this, like, you remember things that I didn't remember. And then I was on point with some of the things that you helped me remember. Yeah, anyway, so I appreciate your time. And until next time, keep pushing, keep shining, keep thriving.